All right, so we're gonna taste test this pepper today, and this is called the Giant Marconi. So here is the Giant Marconi. This is quite an old plant, so this plant has actually been around for quite a while. Look at this. We got a caterpillar. Well, he's gone now, and there's a big spider web there. But they're chewing the skin off my plants, and they're also eating holes in my peppers randomly. My peppers really been getting attacked quite unusually this year. But these peppers are fully ripened. They have been on here for a while, and I need to remove them and do a taste test. So I got some really good sized peppers on here. Unfortunately, a few of them did get damaged on the bottom. One of the peppers, they formed right down here by the base, so they were laying in the dirt, and some of those peppers on the very bottom where they were touching the soil got a little damaged. But nevertheless, there are some good ones here we can taste test, and I'm going to be using these for frying and cooking up with some sausage later, and they're going to be just a wonderful pepper to use. But we're going to take one of these in the back, and we're going to taste test it. I don't want to do it right here in my driveway. But it's a very heavy producer. This plant is produced quite a bit of peppers this year, and you can see the leaf type is, generally this is like a regular leaf type pepper, even though it's showing a narrow leaf here. Generally the bigger leaves on this are regular leaf type. I know that from having grown this for the years I've been growing it, and it's a very heavy producer. And you can see the stem is very woody now. It's a very woody type stem. It's almost like a wood stock, actually. And there's very little purpling in it. You might see a little purpling at the nodes, but that's about it. There's really not much I can elaborate too much on with this particular plant, because this is, like I said, this is like either a 2 or 3 year. I think this is 2 years old now. It's the second summer. It's either the second or third. I don't know. This plant might be a little older than 2 years, because I was growing this in a pot at first, and I transferred this over to this container later. So I don't know. This may be its third summer. It's either second or third summer. It's getting pretty old. So it's been here for a while. It survived many droughts. It does really well in the dry soil. As you can see, this soil, I haven't ran water inside this container in quite a while. So you can see the soil is very dry. So it grows really good in very, very dry soil. It's going to rain tomorrow, the next day, so it's going to get plenty of water. This is going to fill up again. But this one really dried out a lot. So let's pick one of these and bring it in the back. Now, I'm going to pick you one of the nice ones here. I'm going to save those for these couple up here. I'm going to save for my sausage, peppers, and onions. Man, breaking these off sometimes can be a real chore. Isn't that a gorgeous pepper? That's absolutely gorgeous. Now that's a nice sized pepper. Now I've had these peppers get as long as my arm. They're probably around 18 inches long. These peppers get absolutely enormous. This year my peppers really didn't do good. Many things were happening this year that were very not good. There's certain insects that are going around and eating holes in my peppers and just chewing round holes and just messing up my peppers. That's one of the problems. Another problem is that they just didn't grow very well. You can see this one plant here literally lost all its leaves, but that might be because the lower temperatures have really been setting in early this year. I mean, it's been in the mid to low 40s pretty much all of August, which is normally what we would experience in September. So we're seeing that now, in August. It was like fall came in basically at the beginning of August for me. That was like the beginning of fall. So that's an unfortunate thing, but if I can winter these pepper plants out through the winter and then get these plants back out here in the spring, we should do pretty good again next year. Just got to keep it healthy and alive throughout the winter. Can't water them as much indoors. You kind of want them to dry out a little bit, but not totally. You don't want them this dry. This is a little too dry. You want them a little wetter than that, but I just don't want them to be soaked. So, all right. So anyway, let's bring this in the back, and we will do a taste test on this. Be right back. All right, so I got an easy one to do today. I'm probably going to do a hot pepper taste test right after this because I can get away with a sweet and a hot the same day and give you a decent review on it. But this is right here is called the Giant Marconi Red. I think there's Giant Marconi Red, there's Giant Marconi Yellow, and there's also a Giant Marconi Purple. So, but this is the red version. And I've had these peppers get quite big, like I've said earlier. I've had these things get as big as 18 inches long. I mean, absolutely humongous. There's literally no way you're going to eat that pepper in one sitting unless you're feeding a few people. But by yourself, no, you're not going to be eating something like that by yourself. So I figured I'd do a taste test on it and give it a review, what I think about it, and give you my opinion on it this year anyway. I know I did one last year. We'll do it again this year, and we'll see what I say on it. So anyway, let's give it a bite and see what it tastes like. Now I have to open these peppers up like this and check them because sometimes they end up getting this black mold on the inside, or a gray mold, or some kind of mold gets on. I don't know how to get in on the inside of my peppers, but that has been happening. Not a real lot, but it does happen. And if you're doing a taste test and you bite into that thing and you're chewing it and you look down and you see a big pile of mold in there, that's absolutely disgusting. That will ruin you for the rest of the day. I can't do any more reviews. So I take kind of a risk sometimes when I bite these, and if I see a mold in there, I have to puke it out, or, you know, it has happened. I have chewed these things and I'm like, man, this thing tastes disgusting. And I'm eating it and chewing it, and I'm looking at it, and there it is. There's mold in there. So I do got to check that from time to time. I don't know how that happens. I don't know how mold gets on the inside of a pepper. It bewilders me. But it does happen. So I do have to open it up and check it. But let me take another bite on it now that I opened it up. We looked at it a little bit. Let's take another bite. My palate's adjusted. This, by far, is one of my favorite sweet peppers. Marconi Giant. Let me tell you something. It's sweet. It doesn't even really taste like pepper. I guess once you dry it out and you start cooking with it, mixing it with meat, you'll taste the pepper flavor. But man, let me tell you something. This thing is really sweet. It tastes like a fruit, to be honest with you. It doesn't even taste like pepper. I could taste a little bit of a pepper essence, but it mostly tastes like fruit. It's hard to say what kind of fruit. It's like a berry or something. It's absolutely smooth. It's sweet. It's smooth. Actually, I think this tastes sweeter than a lot of other fruits that I've eaten in the past. This is sweeter than some fruits. Sweeter than an apple in some cases. I mean, it is just a gorgeous pepper. God, you can apply this to any kind of cooking. Anything. This would really exceptionally go well with cheesesteak or sausage, or like if you're making a steak and you want those sizzling sides of cooked vegetables like onions and peppers and some garlic sizzling on a grill as you cook your steak so the fat marinades into. This is a pepper you want to use. If you're a chef and you just kind of want to move away from the green bell pepper, boring bell pepper taste, you want to kind of move into something different, let me tell you something. The Giant Marconi is really hard to beat. It's probably one of the best tasting sweet peppers I've ever eaten. Now, with that said, if you pick them when they're green, they're going to taste like a green pepper. If you let them ripen all the way to they're red like this, you ain't going to get too much better than that as far as sweet peppers. I could eat these things all day. If I was able to grow a lot of them and get a lot of good tasting sweet peppers off it, I would just eat these things all day. You don't need to add nothing to it. You don't need to do anything to it except just eat it and enjoy it. They're that good. Now, there's no heat on it, so you don't have to worry about me doing the heat thing. But ranking-wise, for sweet peppers, I am going to rank this pepper way up there. This is going to be like #1 pepper for me. The giant Marconi red, man. This thing is the bomb right here. This seriously is. I mean, like I say, it doesn't get too much better than this when it comes to cooking. It's just, there's so many things you can make with this that it would taste good with. It's just so many things. So if you've never grown the giant Marconi pepper before, I absolutely highly recommend you do grow this one. Now, this pepper does have some funny growing patterns to it. It may not be very productive for you in the beginning. It likes soil a certain way. You're going to have to just play around with your soil, grow several plants, make several different mixtures of soil, and find out which soil mixture is working best for you for this pepper, not only to grow, but to develop a good flavor. You're going to want to make sure you get plenty of calcium of some sort, whether it's dolomite or bone meal, or you're going to add lime to the soil. That's another way to get the calcium in there. You're going to have to make sure it's really calcium. This plant, if it's not grown correctly in the right conditions, is very susceptible to blossom end rot. So you got to make sure you get the calcium in the soil for this plant. You don't want to. I've lost about a half dozen peppers, decent size already this year, because of blossom end rot and other issues that happen with this plant because of the soil conditions. And they're growing in these pots, and the soil's already getting tired and old. So I'm really pushing it, to be honest with you. So that plant's either going to have to get repotted, new soil mixed around it, and something's got to happen. But if you really want to try something new, this is definitely the pepper to try. The giant Marconi red is... Now, I am growing the giant Marconi purple somewhere. Where? I don't know. I got so many plants in here. I mean, it's around somewhere. Now, I don't think it's going to produce any peppers this year or anything viable, not anything decent. So I'm going to have to winter that one over, and then next year it'll produce some really good giant Marconi purples. So I'm really looking forward to that. But yeah, this is the #1 top ranking pepper for me for sweet peppers. A+. If you've never grown the Marconi giant, give it a go. You won't be disappointed. So I think that's about it, right? There's not much to say about the pepper. It's just sweet, has its own flavor. You can apply this to anything. It's really an all-around good pepper. All right, so if you like this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And I will see you on the next one. Take care.